Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, Tim. Good morning. We'll start session in few minutes.
Alright.
Anyone have an idea what kind of topic it is exactly? Just want to understand it's a generative AI, but anyone have a little more idea about these concepts? Already working in IA or else data topic.
Uh, I think it's related to the investment bank, what kind of the operation they have in banking area or investment, how we can utilize the AI.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Yeah, similar. So we are
I
going to
know
elaborate more. Mhm.
I know about the asset management. I've worked into the same field
Yeah.
without the resume.
Okay.
Hey guys, thanks for joining in. So the host is gonna be joining in just a couple of minutes. So thank you for joining and following the punctuality. As the benefit has to reach to maximum people, let's wait for a couple of minutes. Others are joining in, and in meantime, I would like to ask a few questions to have the interaction going on, keep going on. So, does anyone guess how many LLMs are there in this world? It doesn't need to be right or wrong. You can just have a guess.
It's
Maybe more
about
than 1,000.
more than
Mm-hmm.
20,000.
Like
Mm-hmm.
100, 200 or 300.
Right. Any guesses? Any more guesses? I will quickly show where exactly we can know that information. Anyone before anyone want to guess how many LLMs are there in this world? Because this has been the hot topic since 3 4 years, right? So it should have been evolved a lot, and anyone can guess now from the answers from the I heard, right? It is almost near. I am looking for some more nearer.
24,000, 24,000 or 25,000.
Oh my god. That's a good number. Yeah. Any guesses more? Any
500.
more?
And
Saujanya,
guys,
you're
please don't Google or ChatGPT and get the answer.
yeah. So then you are very near. So Open Router is the place. It's a marketplace, I can say, where we can see all related models in the world, right? So if I see the models, so the count is 644. So there are 644 LLM models are there in the whole world. Okay, and of course, I mean, the Open Router is not only for the marketplace for the it's like a Uber and Amazon, where it's a marketplace for LLM, right? Where we'll be able to see the top ranking of the models, and also not only on uh, the top ranking, we can also see based on what we are thinking, right? So if we are working on programming, then who is the top player? If I am looking into perspective of particular marketing, right? If I see marketing, Grok is number one. So like this, we can get the information. Yeah, I see the guest is here, so I don't want to waste time here. So I would like to quickly invite the guest. So I mean, before the guest takes the stage, I would like to introduce the guest for you guys. So today we are for something truly special. Imagine being part of a team that grew from a small startup like group into a world class engineering organization of over 100 plus people delivering more than 75 microservices, transforming enterprise platforms, and leading the charge in generative AI at one of the world's largest financial institutions. That's not a vision of the future. That's the real world impact of today's guest lecturer. With his over 17 years of experience, he has not just led engineering teams, he has redefined how they work. He's unified DevOps and SRE practices, slashed release cycles from months to days, and embedded AI driven automation into testing and delivery pipelines. And here is the kicker, he is being recognized among the top 1% of the performers at Royal Bank of Canada for driving both technical and strategic excellence. But what truly sets him apart is his belief that engineering is about more than just code. It's about people, it's about trust, it's about transparency and creating systems that change how organizations operate. He's a University of Waterloo graduate, a named inventor on two patents, and a leader who still believes in getting his hands dirty to make things happen. Today, he is here to talk about what excites him most, the intersection of technology, people, and business value, and how GenAI is shaping the future of enterprise innovation. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Balaji Chandrasekharan, Head of Engineering at Number One Bank in Canada. I would like to see the claps and thumb symbols to invite him.
Guys,
Thank you,
thank you.
guys.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Venkata, for giving me such a good introduction. I am really elated. I wish my mom and dad were here to hear about that. You know, just to know. So it's not every day that someone gets introduced. You know, some about your own career, some summarizing. So it's nice to hear. But at the end of the day, as Venkta believes, is truly, I would like to call myself a developer. That's what makes me happy. At the end of the day, like when you truly solve a problem, right? Like when you feel accomplished, how to solve this problem. The whole journey. It's not even solving the problem. It's the whole journey of getting there. Analyzing and learning during that process, and then finally when you get to know, okay, you solved that problem. That's what it satisfies me the most. And yeah, I'm so happy, and thanks all for joining on such an early morning session for you all. I'm joining from Toronto, so it's 10 p.m. for me on Saturday. It's a cold day here. I almost packed all my winter clothes and took my summer clothes, just or spring clothes, I should say, for just the last week. But then nature had different plans, and we had a huge snow right now. So yeah, here we are. But ever changing nature and environment, and as I want to kickstart today our session with another changing moment in our lives, the AI, right? As I was seeing the models which Venkta was sharing just before, it was just running around. Like there were so many questions, so much of scare around the developers as well to say, hey, where it is going, and how my job is going to be, and things like that. So, I mean, I want to address this first before we get into this exciting stuff. Is the I mean, it's not really a new thing in technology. If you have lived in if you have worked for more than 5 years, you would have come across the same kind of thing every year, right? It's not just happening today. It happened the first time when Fortran was challenged by C. People doesn't want to move to C. They want to stick to Fortran, what they were doing, right? And then there is C++ and Java. Like when Java came in, there were hesitancy in moving to Java. They were hesitancy when we were moving to waterfall to agile, right? So they in technology changes all over, and we have been experienced. This is what I tell my teams is we have been very good in adapting, and that's how we are here, and we are able to learn, right? So this AI is another wonderful opportunity, like a mobile phone. Some might say it's not a good idea. There are cons to the phones also, but it saves lives today, which was not possible 10 years ago. And likewise, we have to see the good in the greater good in the new change. And certainly AI here is going to cause so many good opportunities and new opportunities, and people who adapt are going to really stand out in your careers, and you're going to make a lot of money and a lot of happiness in building something new and learning something new and being part of the transformation. So with that note, I just want to jump in. Enough of the gyan, right? I'm gonna just start with mainly I just want to touch upon a few things. Venkata was asking me, just give us a real world, um, how AI is helping in finance or in your career or in your domain, right? So I just wanted to bring the industry experience into this call, where like what is happening, you might have come across so many different from different parts of your life, where you are applying AI. Even this presentation I used AI to create, so it's creeping up in our lives. So how is it creeping up in tech in certain domains? The most favorite one for me is asset management, where I am from. But for the past 8 years, I have been part of this domain, asset management. Before that, I was part of the bank, but different part of the services. So asset management is a domain which deals with managing the wealth, managing the mutual funds. The banks create mutual funds, and by mutual fund, each mutual fund has like thousands of stocks. So how do you make sure those stocks are earning good for your clients? So there is a portfolio investment team who craft those mutual funds and then build portfolios, helping clients save money for their future, for their retirement, for their kids' education, and for their savings for their future goals, right? So we play a bigger part in people's lives in achieving their dreams and goals, and we are an aid and a tool, and that's why I like asset management, a way of helping people. And so this domain is full of numbers, so there is a division called quantitative analysis team. So the quants are a highly paid job. Okay, why I say that is they are very proficient in statistical analysis of the data, and that is one part of the bank. There are multiple teams, right? Like in within asset management, but quants are one of the engineering groups which analyzes the portfolios and tell, hey, this stock you have to buy. So they have been using data science for a long time, and they have been using AI and ML practices for a long time. Even for them, Gen AI is a boon in many ways in asset management. So today I'm gonna just start with some of the examples, what happened in the past and how it is changing. So in the past, there are, like, if you ask me, as Venkata was pointing out, our engineering team has built more than 70 plus microservices, which are having a huge amount of traffic in the internet. rbcgam.com. If you just type it right away, you will see the marketing page that is maintained by us. We develop, we create, we manage and maintain. So that's a traditional web application, right? So, and then on top of it, how we work, like as I was telling you before, asset management has different groups which runs the businesses. So one of them is portfolio managers who constructs portfolios, and there is trading desk who's implementing the trades based on what the portfolio managers analyzes and say, hey, buy this stock this much. So there is trading desk, there is all sorts of sales channels. You have a bank branch, like where you can walk in and ask for a mutual fund. Likewise, there are different teams running together this whole business of global assets management for RBC. So in this whole world, we fit in mainly in building software applications to make things efficient for this business. We have ranging applications like your online banking platform, and to the Salesforce, which gives you customer relationship management, knowing the customers, what are the opportunities. The sales teams use a Salesforce. And as I was talking about rbcgam.com, it is using content management system. So we are a group of 100 plus people ranging across these different technologies, right from content management to customer relationship management and everything in between. Like, we use Spring Boot and Angular as our tech stack. We have built multiple systems like portfolio review system or client onboarding platforms, online banking portals, right? So those are some of the systems that we built traditionally. And there are tools that helps the advisor to sell or compare even. So you wanna compare how your investment is going to be. How is your investment on this particular fund will be in how it would have performed if you have invested $10,000 in this particular fund, right? So this is a famous chart. We call it as growth of 10K. One of the examples, right? So we built an application called investment portfolio, investment portfolio snapshot, we call, where you can enter your mutual fund, and you can say, hey, if I have invested $10,000 in this fund, what will happen, or how much ever money, right? So it'll give you a beautiful chart, just giving an example of what kind of applications we were building before and what kind of team that we are. And this is what the asset management digital team will be building, like different tools for the sales team, different tools for internal teams to make the operation efficient. So there is the new invent of Gen AI. So how are we changing things? So there are all these applications that we built. There was something lacking in it, which the AI fits really nicely. This is what I would call it as a reasoning ability, right? So earlier, let's say if you want to build something like you want to ingest all the documents and answer a query, right? What we would have done in a traditional way is like parsing the English, storing it in a database, and let's say if you think about it, you will have relative keywords describing about the text, and then when the user comes in and asks a question, we will do a select query on the database and check, hey, what are the query keywords match with the query in the database, and get the content and give it back. That's all what we can do. But today, with the reasoning abilities and with the RAG, like with the RAG queries and with the reasoning abilities the models are providing, we are able to parse any kind of document. Earlier, I would have need to consider it is difficult to implement the solution. Now I can very quickly can build solutions which will build these engines and the tools whichever I thought it is impossible to build in the traditional way. Mainly the reasoning ability. So wherever you want reasoning to be there to make a decision like a human being, the Gen AI brings that particular feature into your traditional application, making it much more efficient. In some cases, even making you to think differently, right? So we do. I'm gonna in the whole set of slides, we're gonna talk about various tools that we have built, right? So if I talk about these are so we once we figured out, okay, this is Gen AI has the Gen AI has this potential. We have entered our journey from the past 1.5 years, I would say, from January till this year. It has been phenomenal. I would say we have significantly grew along with how the market has grew, the models have grew. We grow along, and we have conducted many hackathons in terms of learning and upskilling the team, right? So we have conducted many POCs, implemented in the hackathons, and some of them we have taken it to production. So one of the this is currently what a bigger picture of how AI is being injected into our workflows these days. So one of them is again a enterprise RAG assistant, where the retrieval augmented generation has been provided to the GAM employees. Like, we are totally around 1800 1900 GAM employees. So we have rolled out a tool mainly to have that ability to upload documents and ask queries. So we have rolled out this RAG assistant. You can call it a ChatGPT like. We have rolled out even 2 versions of it now. Like, we have upgraded our version 1 to version 2, which is the enterprise RAG assistant. And then there are few POCs which even Venkata was part of. There is the compliance agent. So we're gonna deep dive onto these guys, what it is. But just to give you an idea of, like, any office has your front office, middle office, and back office, right? So back office is where you have your portfolio manager sitting together and understanding what are the portfolios I have to build, what are the funds that I have to build, and quantitative analysts giving data to these portfolio managers to build the portfolios. That happens in the back office. And the middle office, as I was talking about, they help with the operation. And front office is where the sales team comes in and marketing team comes in. So we attack each of these teams. We went ahead and asked for use cases, and many of them come back with, like, I see one particular way is like the signals. The signals, something like what is happening in the market, what is happening in the news, right? Like, those are the signals many of our asset management business is tied into. Something like a war on Iran, or a war that is getting broken out, or somewhere a merger and acquisition is happening from one company to the other, or there are trade deals that are coming up from one company to the other. So there are some signals you have to continuously monitor. That is a main part in the back office that they are waiting for. Hey, how should I change my portfolio if something happens in the market, right? So they are waiting to look for signals and extracting it. So that's where AI is helping really in terms of time and efficiency. Like, how long? See, earlier there needs to be a human to sit and parse the news to say, is this news relevant? Is this news from a credible source? And is this really impacting our portfolio? So think about it. You're not working in the nights. You are kind of starting your day in the morning. You have hundreds of news you have to parse through, and then you have to figure out, okay, what am I going to do today, right? Like, should I change this, or should I should I buy or sell? So those kind of things. Think about it. If a Gen AI just gives you a dashboard in the morning when you start, hey, big news, big alert, there is something happening with Apple, or Warner Bros is being sold to Paramount, things like that. If those kind of news breaks out, the Warner Bros price will go down or up according to the company who is being bought, and the situation has to be noted, right? So if there is a dashboard and a news alert and a monitor comes in, that signal could be, you will be making transaction in billions, right? So that is an importance of that kind of a news and a signal extraction. And then middle office deals with a lot of paperwork. One of the important teams that we are working with is compliance team, where the organization can get sued like anything, because we are under regulatory, government regulated institutions, so we have to operate in certain way. Like, I know back home where I'm coming from in India, you you don't publish even how much you have to pay for a mutual fund, like how much is the expense ratio. It's not mandated to be publicly disclosed, but here, like in Canada, it is highly regulated in North America that you have to publish and you have to follow certain rules and everything. So these compliance people, if there is some miscompliant to any of the government rules, we get sued like anything. So it's important, like everything, like even a marketing material that we are publishing, we never claim we will be having, you will be able to get 18% returns on this one. No. So it's a false narrative, because it doesn't have, you don't have a data backing, or you don't know what will happen in the future, so you cannot claim that. So compliance team comes into picture. So AI is today helping in couple of areas, which we are going to talk in the next slides. Compliance is kind of getting help through AI, commentary generation, publishing all the information that about a mutual fund. Every quarter we have to publish what happened in the mutual fund to the clients, and there are documents that we have to create for regulatory. And today the humans are in the places where they manually go through a lot of data. Let's say one mutual fund has 1300 stocks in it. You have to write a commentary about it to say what happened in this fund, how it has performed against the benchmark. A human has a limited time also. Let's say every quarter you have to publish. When the quarter ends, that's when you have the data, and you have to publish it within few days, which is a hectic period. Like if you're, it's a hectic task even for publishing one fund, but today we are publishing to close to 300 funds. So you can think about the amount of time that it takes today to write a commentary. So our CEO was very adamant to say no one should be able to, no one should be writing the commentary from the draft anymore. The draft should be generated by AI is his mandate for us, which we are working on. So that is another area where you see a big impact. So this is what's happening in asset management in a big picture. I'm gonna take you through a couple of low-level examples pretty quickly. So as I was telling you about the retrieval augmented generator tool that we built, Aiden Assist, which even we renamed recently to RBC Assist. So this basically a ChatGPT like interface where you can build your own chat agents along with your own custom instructions, like the roles that agent has to play, and then the tools that it needs. So this platform allows the individual users and the super users to create agents and publish it in agent marketplace provided by this tool. So here we are empowering all the business units to create their own agents, chat conversational agents, which can do a lot of things, not just by itself, but when it is connected to multiple tools. Something like reading an outlook from my mail. Hey, keep a monitoring on my mail, and then if there is something particular comes out, reply to this email like this. Or if there is a deal coming in the mail, alert me and tell me, so build a conversational agent to me, so I will continuously working through during the day, right? So a business unit can use it in that way. So we have implemented that platform, and users are currently, we are in the process of teaching them and empowering them with all the knowledge that they can. And even we are running right now a program where the best agent gets a monetary prize, that a program that we are running to increase the adoption of this platform across the business. And as I told you about the commentary generator, that's another important, as I was explaining about the effort that it takes to write. Venkta could talk hours and hours about this because he was working as part of this. This is something that we were breaking our head in terms of how to, when you're writing a commentary, you need to go through the news, the current news. Like if you're writing for the past quarter, you need to know what happened in the past quarter to give evidence to the fund's behavior. Hey, the stocks went 10% more. Okay, why did it went more? Right? Because Apple performed really well. why Apple performed really well. Like, it has launched iPhone 17, and people were buying a lot of phones, and it increased their revenue, right? So that is the evidence that you have to tie together. So the AI comes in, and it goes and it has to analyze the data, understand whether it is performing well or performing bad, and then it has to go to the news and surface and research the proofs for the analysis what you're making, and then attach it to the commentary, and then write your quarterly commentary. So it's a very simple use case if you think about it. But when we were implementing, we had a lot of complex prompts that we have built in terms of building this, and then complex agents. It's evolving into multi-agent architecture today. How we are trying to do is, like, we have passed so much of commentary that has been written. We are providing as an input to the system and ask it to embed and then learn the structure from it, and then connect with the external news sources and generate the commentary. It's an amazing project, which I think I want to write a thesis about it when I'm completed and deliver this project. And I talked about various POCs, Jira compliance, M&A, signal, and trade desk monitoring. All of them has a pattern. So they are all waiting on a signal, as I was talking about signal before. The Jira compliance plugin, currently the compliance team vets through all the marketing materials that goes through. The language is correct. Are they using any unwanted information that should not be published? These are just two rules, but there are like thousands of rules that they manage. So today what happens is, manually, when a user want to publish a material outside or in the rbcgam.com, they have to go through this compliance team. They create a Jira ticket, they upload the document they want to publish, and then they wait for the human to apply all the 1,000 rules on the document, and then give them back the comments and give an approval, give a sign off, so that it can go out and get published. Let's say here AI plays a beautiful part, where AI comes in and it has a tool what we have built, where it goes and picks up all these rules. These are in English, so it picks it up, and it gets the documents. When a Jira ticket comes in, it gets activated, it downloads the documents that are being attached, and then it parses it, compares the rules to the document, and then it creates a comment. So like a PR, in GitHub, if you are creating a PR, a chatbot vets it before and then gives you a PR bot vets it before and give you comments. Likewise, this Jira ticket is getting a first AI comment to say, hey, these rules are missing, fix it, so that the human evaluator doesn't need to apply all the 1,000 rules, only the things which AI highlights, or anything else that it is missing, right? So the effort becomes pretty less for the human person. Likewise, I talked about M&A before also. It's like merger and acquisition is one of the important activities that we closely monitor. I think any asset management business will closely monitor, because it impacts the price of the stocks, how it goes up or goes down. So here, like I have mentioned raw news stream and AI noise filter. This is one of the major problems. I mean, I was part of a hackathon just 2 days ago, and they were solving a problem for supply chain, for a supply chain disruption. If a medicine is ordered, if anything, right? Like, say there is a big supply chain going on between the countries, and if there is a storm coming up, your shipment is getting delayed. What is the best possible way to resolve the situation, right? So they have built solutions like monitoring a news and figuring out there is a storm coming, or a war coming, or something is happening, right? Likewise, so I see there is a huge pattern around monitoring the internet and knowing what happens, and on a particular signal you just have to go and act on something, right? So this is coming as a pattern here. So in asset management also, it's as true as it is. But the problem is, how do you vet the news, right? Like, the news is like, internet is robust, like there are so many news, And there could be lots of false and fake news also. So how do you filter and identify the correct news that you need to look into? So one of the I really liked in the hackathon was like um, they built a scoring system to identify which news are the correct news. Like, just not go by one news channel, like not just go by one Wikipedia page, but then take it and then analyze it further, analyze the social media, analyze the internet, and create a scoring algorithm just to say how good this news is, how relevant and credible this news is, right? So that is another thing that I'm looking to implement in this piece of work, but that is also applicable to commentary generator also, where we are also getting news from there, from the internet. So we have to do that filtering efficiently, and identifying the correct news and including that as part of our further workflows. And here, price monitoring and then alert. And then the other interesting one is the trade desk monitoring, where they get a lot of emails for bidding for the bonds what the banks are selling. They get a lot of emails. So if a government bond is issued, or a bank's bond is issued, they will make an offer to bid or sell. So each vendor email could be like there were like four emails mainly, but the content of the attachments what they send is huge, and every day you get these mails. So over a time, if you need to find a better offer, today it is so difficult, or in the past it was so difficult for the human to go through each and every document and understand what is the best deal out of all the deals that I have got. So AI is helping out there, where it is monitoring all the emails and parsing all the documents and figuring out what is the best deal. All they need to do, there is a chat agent where again we integrated with RBC Assist. So they just come in here and say, hey, what is the best deal for this bond? Then it analyzes the email and gives them the answer to say, hey, this is the best deal. So that's another area that is amazingly helping the business. So with that, we are coming into the last section, and I talked pretty much a lot about extraction and search, and the tools that's what it is happening. But the trajectory, if you look at how it is going together, is where like the autonomous pipelines of filtering the news and structuring the chaotic inputs into a proper structured data, and make some reasoning on top of it, and then help the humans in making their job efficient, time saving. And that is the autonomous pipelines. And then the third one is the future, the multi-agentic synthesis. This is Venkta, this could be a surprise for you also. Like commentary generator, we are currently implementing something in the same way, like multi-agentic AI systems. So what happens is the agents work autonomously on its own. So we build this performance commentary generator in a structured way. Like, you come in and you give the humans come and give the data for what happened in the fund, and then the AI agent has to take this input information, and then we have to go through a workflow of setting up this agent, understanding what kind of commentary that we want to generate, and coming up with the prompts and analysis. Okay, whether it is positively performing, whether it is beating the benchmark, and things like that, we have to humanly analyze in the version 1 of performance commentary generator, and then create a prompt according to what we want to generate. But now in the version 2, what we are trying to do is autonomously making the agents to infer from the existing documents what we are feeding to it. So right now we just created a pile of 100 documents of the same kind of commentary over the past years, what we have written, and we feed it into the system and say, hey, this is the commentary that I want to generate. I'm giving you all the tool connectors for you. You figure out how the structure has to be, how the tone has to be, how the analysis has to be. It's your job. And it's not just one agent that is working. I pretty much have to build 13 different agents, and these agents has to talk together. And one of the interesting agents that I have there is the critiquer, and then there is the writer. So the writer agent generates the commentary, and then the critique agent basically critiques the commentary and says, hey, this is not matching to the documents what we have. This is not matching the structure and tone. And then the writer commentary fixes it and works with the critique. So until they both, there is a Landgraph, there is the autogen. Autogen is basically where the chatting happens between the agents. There are multiple frameworks that has evolved to make these autonomous decisions. So this commentary generation version 2 is I'm eagerly waiting, which I have a first cut. Now having these 13 agents working together and going through it, almost, I mean, it is not as perfect as what V1 is producing, but it is amazingly close, that I think we have to just tune forward a bit and make it happen. So this will make performance commentary generator fit to any kind of commentary. Right now we don't need to focus on just one kind of commentary. We can just focus on MRFPs and various other commentaries that what we can generate. So that's the future looks like, and that is exciting. So there is so much, asset management is not just about quantitative analysis anymore, not just the data science. It's also, as I was laying out, there are so many different teams and so many different operations can get the benefit of AI, and it is making, we call it as alpha is basically the profit, or alpha is the um, the gain in the portfolios that we are making. So it is making the alpha, actionable alpha possible in a very efficient time than what it is happening in the past. So these are the opportunities I was talking about in the start of my discussion. These opportunities were never existing before. Like a human has to grind, and we have so much of work everywhere, and we have very less resources all the time, and this is a boon for these scenarios, for executives, for everybody, to build new businesses, to have new opportunities, and to adapt this and grow, and move on to a new scale, and move on to a greater heights. So that's all from me. I know it is condensed and I extended a lot more than what I was allocated, as usually I do. But yeah, that's all I have for today. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'll be around for a few more minutes here. If not, please feel free to connect me in LinkedIn, and I'm happy to chat anytime. Thank you.
Oh my God, oh my God. It's too much of information, Balaji. Thank you so much. Even though you have spoken for 45 minutes, but it's a roadmap for students who are learning Gen AI, right? So it is like a roadmap for 6 months or 1 year, which kind of applications. I mean, I would like to quickly brief whatever you have given the points. So first, you have started with the main important aspect where Gen AI is capable of reasoning ability. That's a very good start. And in students also there was a myth: is Gen AI and agentic AI is a bubble? Does we have any production solutions? But you have broken that myth also by saying version 1 and version 2, which you have deployed already. So that means it's already many applications are there. And and also you mentioned like by using agentic AI equipped with dashboards where we can get the hints early than other markets, so we can take the investment decisions. And and also you have bring in very important point as we need to bring in the evidence. We should not be believing completely on the Gen AI. We need to trust on the evidence. So that's a good, very good point. And also you mentioned the problem of noise, and also how it is important of AI noise filter. That itself, AI noise filter itself is a big project we can keep in our resume to showcase it. And also you mentioned about 13 agents working together. It's fascinating, and it gives me goosebumps where agents work together for a ultimate goal, right? And in your session, like you gave real-time solutions, what has been implemented and what can be done, which definitely gives great hope to students who just starting the career in Gen AI. That's a very enlightening session, Balaji. And I will open up the session for Q&A. Like guys, like this is very good opportunity. I mean, I myself itself will not get opportunity to talk to Balaji, but here we are getting opportunity. So kindly utilize it. If you have any questions, kindly ask him.
Hi Balaji. It's a very good session. Thank you. And my question is, how long it took to you to transform this solution into real time? First, second point, it's difficult to convince the management and to get the funding, right? Like you need to get the AI engineers, right, to form a total team and to completely transform this as solution, right? Like, can you brief about these points?
So yeah, so two questions, very good questions, Naresh. Some of the problems that I deal with every day. So one, how long does it take to make it real time? In AI, I think with the advent of the Copilot, and how soon I was able to even develop this agentic performance commentary generator. I think it's a record time, I would say. For completing development, it took only 2 to 3 days to complete a development of these 13 agents, right? So I'm not exaggerating when I say 2 to 3 days. It is state of the art possible, you know, and that led me to question to say I have a 120 people team. So if everybody can work like this, then how much should our velocity be in terms of sprint and everything, right? So yeah, that's a topic for another day. But to answer your question, to go to real time, yeah, in banks, there is a big red tape around AI as well, right? So because even I cannot explain what is happening in the internal details, and I cannot guarantee that it is going to be the same way it will work all the time. Now I can try my best, but at the end of the day, it could it could work beyond what I'm setting it for. So there is a big process that we call it as safe adoption AI, which could take 2 to 3 months to get approval. And in this 3 months, it depends on how risky your process is, and we call our solution a model. So not the LLM model, but we call the application that is using a LLM as the whole solution as a model, and every model is well documented. Kind of, we have to create a white paper. I'm in fact creating an agent to create this white paper even today. But the idea is like you have to create this white paper and record it, and then you have to be having an owner for this model, and every year you have to revisit and see how this model is performing. And so many, sending the traditional application itself is very hard for me to go to cloud and going to deploying the application. But this one was even more harder, right? Like so the development wise, it takes very less time, and you can show it anytime. You can show it much more clearly to the management a working model. But taking it to production and deploying it and making it available in the user's hand, the RBC Assist, it took at least 2 to 3 months for us to roll it out to the end users. And there are the plugins what we have built. All of them are just in UAT right now. We are just kind of even the users like Jira plugin that I was talking about, that is in UAT already, which is very well enough for the customers to say when we parallelly work on it, they can still connect to Jira and do all the validations in UAT itself. So even though it is not in production, these are already starting to give values to the teams as we are working through. So that is the first question, answer to first question. So development, very quick, but deployment into production, it takes time in bank at least. Then the second question, what is the second question, Naresh? I missed it. Oh, how to convince the management, right? Like how to convince the management about the idea. I mean, the best possible thing is use Copilot, and don't say that you need a. I mean, I wouldn't say. I don't think, at least in my opinion, I feel like the existing engineers should be able to develop the AI applications. You don't need a specific. I don't think any engineer or developer should be just saying, hey, I work on only front end, I work on only back end, I work on only AI. I think that line is thinning down, because I've been asked by the product team to say, hey, can I get access to Copilot, right? It is coming, right? Like everybody can do the development going forward. And you cannot just attach yourself to one particular language to say Java or so that's what I encourage my team to say, hey, the language is gone. The language is, you cannot attach yourself to language. The market is not going to be looking for a Java developer not very long from now. It is going to be an engineer and a software developer. The designer and architect, they are the way most important people that they are going to be, right? So you have to grow into it. So you have to become a engineer, a true software engineer, irrespective of which language, which what you're developing, right? You develop your design skills, develop your architecture skills. Think about big picture, not just implementing one small feature. Think about end to end. Ask the question of what are we building, why are we building, and how are we making money to the business, right? So when that that's not part of the job description today for a engineer, like can you do Java, can you do front end, can you implement this, do you know this framework? No. Going forward, I don't think the interviews are going to be more on how much solution designing that you can do, how much long term you can think, and to impress your bosses and see how to convince them. I say use Copilot. Earlier the time taken for me to create a block diagram and create a presentation to show to my boss, it takes much lesser time to develop an application even today, right? As I was telling you, even a production grade application that what we have to generate. In fact, we conducted a dev workshop last January, and when the models were not that great even then, at that time even we were able to send the bond ladder ETF application, which was a two-page application, which would have taken for us to build at least six sprints, let's say 2 months or 3 months. It would have easily taken us for to build, which was reduced by 5 days. Like we built 5 days and then plus say another 5 days. So one sprint, we were able to build this whole two-page application, and we were able to send it to production even, right? So what I would say is, if you want to convince, I would say have real prototypes, have the real users use it, and measure it from their feedback. And that's the best way to convince your managers to say, hey, this is the estimation, this is the KPI that we can get out of it, this is how we can track for the next 6 months, and we can call it off if it doesn't meet the expectations what we are having for this tool, right? So that's what I do. Like every time we have an idea, we test it out in a POC environment, we build an application, at least the bare minimum prototype, and go for it. And you can show the real application to the people, and the presentations won't win these cases, but when they see it is working, you have a good chance of making it happen.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, Balaji.
Hello.
This is Santosh. Thanks for your insights, Balaji. I have one real question. I was working into the middle office in the investment banks. So I'm not much familiar with your technologies and everything. Just yeah, I'm learning here. I just wanted to ask one question regarding the trust. I mean, in a highly regulated environment, how are we addressing these problems to ensure our AI-driven investment decisions are transparent and auditable for client regulators? I mean,
Right.
do you have
So
any insights on this, sir?
so just I'm trying to understand your question. So you want to your question is about how are we justifying the spend on AI to the regulators?
Yeah, for the regulators and for the clients, for how this, uh, uh, AI-driven decisions will be, are transparent or we can trust on them. Yeah,
Exactly. So no, so I told you, at least as the bank, the models are not taken lightly. So through the adoption process, the white paper that I said that we have to create, that has a lot more, white papers are more intrusive, right? Like it's more, you have the testing results published, and the testing results is not just like a smoke test. It's kind of a a fully fully tested model, right? A thoroughly tested model, which means testing for all the scenarios that it cannot break or it can move beyond, right? So you document that. So by documenting, you are openly publishing what this model is doing, how it is doing. So all the architecture is stored in the book of records as a document, and that is one of the transparent things that we are doing. Like we don't have, I mean, we have architecture documents for all the other applications. We don't have testing results. We publish testing results, but it is not a constant. It keeps changing. So, but this AI established this process. We call this safe adoption, and within the safe adoption we have EMRM. EMRM is enterprise model risk management, and that's what asking you to build this white paper and publish it, and they review it with a panel of AI, not just the AI people. The cybersecurity is coming in. They all have we have something called a punch card at the end of safe AI adoption. The punch card has to be signed by all these people. EMRM has to be signed, cybersecurity has to sign, and IT risk has to sign. Data, there are like various organizations where GRM they call like global risk management.
Global risk
So
management. Yeah.
all
Data.
all these teams coming together and reviewing these documents and giving you a sign off is the sign that you can go to production. So that's why it takes the 2 to 3 months. So that is how we record this whole process and being transparent in terms of this is what we are doing. um, and yeah, I think that answers your question, right?
Yeah. 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 Thanks, Balaji. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, that was really a great session. This is Grishma. I just have like one curious question. You said that there is a scoring system and the filtering system. So the tool we are developing is also like giving the data, and there is other tool which is scoring. So how do you differentiate between these rules, and how does it do
Yeah.
the
So
scoring?
first, say we are looking for the merger and acquisition, right? So the first search what you will do is, you know what are the merger and acquisitions that are happening today. Think about not just the AI, just what you will do if you are just doing it manually. So we go to Google or a search engine and search about merger and acquisitions that are happening today in USA or in Canada, and then you get a list of news articles. And then in humanly, like what I do personally is like I have some relevant sources that I rely on, right? If it is coming from some reputable websites, some so I have, from my experience and learning, right? So it varies person to person. So we we filter out the sources first, making sure that sources are correct, like sources are good. We can rely on, say, if I'm reading something from Bloomberg, I will believe that because Bloomberg is a well-established financial services provider, and and we have already connections with them in the business as well, right? So likewise, we filter out on the sources, so how credible the source is, part of the scoring. But then you read about the news. Okay, there are multiple newses, and then filter out. So this is one thing, just not about this question, Grishma. Like generically, how I see working with the AI and the LLM models is, you have to break down your questions into smaller chunks, and you have to go deep dive on it. So you cannot ask just one question and say, "Hey, get me all the things that I want, like build this whole software application." It's gonna break down, and it's not gonna work nicely. So first you have to break down your question. That's where I'm giving you the analogy of what humans will do. So you go and search. You have filtered your sources. You have 5 websites what you have, and it has news about like say 10 different newses that it has provided, or 10 different articles it has come in, and then you go and summarize all those articles. In the next step, you're summarizing all these articles and extracting only this information, like who is merging, who is acquiring, when is the date, what is the status, right? So when I say 13 agents that I built for performance commentary generator, each agent has its own small purpose, small thing, you're iteratively building on. So each, like, see, all the 13 agents are exactly the same thing. It has connection to some tools, it has connection to LLM, right? That's all. So, but then in addition, it has one purpose, one role, and then it has to do just that job. Don't combine more than one. So in the filtering process, I'm saying you have a search agent which searched and filtered based on the sources and gave you the gave you the links, and then the next step in the next agent, you go and filter it out further to say, hey, summarize all these links or these news articles and get me the response in a form of an array with each news element or each element in that array in this following structure of JSON, and say who's the merger, who's the acquirer, who's the status. So you are basically giving one role and purpose for it, to have an input and to have one output from it. So it's the basic solid principle that you will apply in a traditional software development process also, that you apply on the agents also. And then you get all these news articles. So you have got all the news from these various articles. So now what we do, we need to fact check. So now we have to filter it out further. So is this article, one of the problems that we felt is like, if this article was mentioned, so let's say it is merging this company with this company, and then this article might talk subsequently about many other companies, even though they are not acquiring or merging. If it is picking up that as a news article, we need to vet that. So again, go back and validate that. So this is what I did specifically with merger and acquisition. But for the supply chain process that I was talking about, you are getting a storm and say Financial Times is or not the financial, maybe CNN or Wall Street Journal. They are publishing, hey, there is a storm in Atlantic, and this routes are, these areas are getting impacted. So you got that information. Now there is a signal for you. You go and do another search on the same signal, and you say, hey, is this true? What are the other sources talking about? So we got three credible sources, three confirming the same news. Then it has much more credibility. So you establish a rubric score where you say, hey, is the sources credible, when it is happening, is the domain credible, the URLs, whatever it is forming, does it make sense, it represents the same, is it a secure site, and things like that, right? So you establish a rubric between these three systems. And then one another thing that you can do is take this information. Once this vetting is clear, you have a social media agent. Go and check in Twitter if people are talking about it. And that is another, okay, social media rubric scoring, where you have one of the scoring element. Yes, social media is also confirming people are talking about it. Reddit is also confirming, like, people are talking about it. Then your confidence score is basically 90% or more than 90%. So when the confidence score is more than 95%, then only you can give a threshold, basically, based on how the other rubrics you are setting up. You can say, hey, based on this, if it is greater than 95%, then you act on it, right? So this is one simple and one idea that I could think of in terms of filtering the news. It is a big project, as Venkata was talking about. That is something that we were pulling our hairs in terms of filtering, but that is, yeah, continuing to evolve, and that's how we are basically currently implementing to filter the noise, Grishma.
Yeah, thank you so much for the answer. I basically got the answer from you also, like analyze it from Reddit or some social handles. But when you were first filtering, you don't use
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
First filter, filtering, and then So these are steps, these are different steps, right? So until in each step you are basically scoring, right? Like your confidence level in terms of the sources. Earlier in traditionally when you do, if you just click on the first link what is coming in the result, you will not, I don't know how credible that source is, right? Like you do
Yeah,
a first
yeah,
search and whatever the first link you get, I'm feeling lucky, and you click on that, then you might be in for a surprise and it's not relevant, right? But if you
yeah,
implement this framework to say, hey, go deep dive and take, just not go by one source, have multiple sources and have multiple platforms confirming the same thing happening. That'll be, see, for example, supply chain, one of the things that they did is the ERP, like enterprise resource planning tools, what they have is another indicator, like which could tell, say for example, if it is storm, like you figured out, okay, storm is the signal, then you can go to the weather apps particularly to that area, to that region. There are some, depending on the signal, you can also filter the sources, what are credible sources according to this filter. And then, like, so this is a planning and decision step at that particular step also, right? So yeah, I mean, this itself could be a thesis, like where you can continue talking about going deep dive, but this is an interesting problem. I
yeah,
believe
true.
it gets better.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So it's 11:08 right now. So before I fall asleep on this call, I'm gonna say thank you all for joining. But Venkata, you wanna have any other closing? I'll share my LinkedIn with you all, guys. Like if you need any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. I will be in touch. But yeah, I'll hand it over to Venkata.
Yeah, Balaji, I don't want to keep you wait, but I have many questions, but I will take only one question to ask.
Sure.
So let's suppose, I mean, it's all coming from the student's mind. Let's suppose
Right.
if a student want to learn, right? So there
Right.
are two paths in agentic AI developer. One is
Right.
he can go and learn LangChain, Crew AI, the framework, writing the
Right.
code in Python, the stuff.
Right.
The second path is no code, low code, where
Right.
I mean Azure Foundry, give go Copilot. I can drag and drop and create the agents, and I can connect the tools and all the stuff.
Right.
So, what are you doing now? Like, while recruiting a person, if you got two profiles of these kind of things, so who will you recruit and why?
Hmm. What are the two kinds of profiles, Venkata, that you explained? Can you please repeat?
Yeah, one person has done whole Python coding and he has used LangChain, Crew AI frameworks
Hmm.
to come up with the agentic AI solution. Another person haven't used anything in Python. He just used the no code, low code platforms, N8N or Copilot or something to drag and drop and create the agents.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. 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 So I will definitely, as I told you before, as I explained before also, right? Like currently in the resumes that I'm looking at is like how good they are in in the understanding of the software development. So I'm not. I mean, it's kind of a bit biased. Obviously, if the if the resume is going to have Crew AI and if it is matching what I'm looking for, obviously that resume I'll pick and have a chat. But I won't discourage. I won't discourage the other people, other resumes which doesn't have. But I want to know how deep did they know Python, how deep they are interested in programming. you know those qualities are the most important one. For example, I have been I started my career in Wipro. I was being put in test automation. That was not my first choice, but then I was put into it, and then all along I was growing along on what I was given and what I was learning. So it doesn't mean that I can grow into a engineering developer. My history of my career can be a answer to that also, right? Like say where I'm leading an engineering team today. So it doesn't mean that a person who doesn't have that experience is lacking that skill. So I definitely want to give that other person also an opportunity. But the first resume is a pre-selected. But still, I will still vet the same qualities what I explained. That is what it is more important to me, because through AI, whatever the 3 months ago, the frameworks that I was using, I'm not using it today, right? So it is kind of it's not just about AI for anything, that's my mantra, because I learned from my career is that you don't need to be attached to one particular framework, and but whatever you are doing, you have to do it deeply and thoroughly to understand why we are doing it, and how we can do it better, right? So if you ask me to write a code today, and if I'm writing the same code tomorrow, I won't be writing the same thing, because I want to be thinking about how can I be better than this, right? So how can I be solving this? So I would look for that attitude. At least it's a generic answer, and it is particular to me. I know, like, many teams will appreciate it, uh, could get benefit out of it, in terms of if we have, because the person has to be adaptable. In the coming years, you should be adaptable into learning a new framework, learning a new design, and making calls. So the important thing to have is that curiosity and the passion, really, to do engineering in the deeper levels, and doing in the true merit. That quality cannot be replaced, I believe. Like, even Copilot coming in, or anybody coming in, like, you need any new technology coming in, I think that is a must, having quality. um, so prepare your resumes on whatever job description is asking for you. That's that's my first recommendation. But when you come in, demonstrate in your experience what when you get an interview call, I think demonstrate how deep that you did what you've been asked to do, and what the results are. That speaks volume more than your relevant experience, is what I feel.
Yeah, thank you so much, Balaji. It answers my question, and also many things. It clarifies a lot. Yeah, thank you. And I don't want to keep you waited. So if students have any doubts, I will be there to answer them. Thank you so much, Balaji. It's late for you, and thank you for volunteering and coming up and opening up many minds. So with this aspiration, we'll all learn together, and we'll grow together. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for listening to me patiently. I'm trying to share my LinkedIn URL. I'll send it to Venkta, and he can share, and be in touch. And any conversations, any problems, I'm always open to talk about any software problems that you wanna deal with, and solve together. I'm happy to chat, and yeah, and learn together. Thank you all, and have a wonderful Sunday.
Thanks for that. Thanks, Prashant.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Prashant.
Thank you. Thank you, Mahesh.